Well, hello everybody, and here we are again doing yet another virtual event. So, 2020 has been quite the year in many ways, and to add to our list of virtual events, we are now doing a virtual awards evening. Normally, I would be standing on the stage, giving a bit of a speech, talking about our exam results, destinations from A-level students, etc. And I'm obviously not going to be doing that this year and I'm not going to talk for as long. So that's a bonus for you watching this. But it would be wrong of me to not acknowledge what all of you have achieved. So, first of all, a huge well done to you award winners. In a time of adversity, you have still proved that you can work hard and get on with the job in hand. And you've been acknowledged by your teaching staff for that. And that's brilliant. Some of you might also have been acknowledged for other things, representing the school in terms of Thirsk values, etc., maybe sporting achievements. And we had hoped actually to do a separate sporting awards evening later in the year. Whether that will happen in real life or virtually, who knows? So, a huge well done and thank you. Thank you for being the students that you are, and thank you for contributing positively to our community. I've said I'm going to keep it brief and I'm going to stick to that. But I suppose what I want to say to you is this. You're going to hear a speech from Richard Sheriff, who I had the privilege of knowing as a fellow teacher. He was a head teacher when I was actually a deputy when I worked in Harrogate. And he's currently a president of one of the teaching unions, and he'll tell you more about that, I'm sure, in his speech. He's also a dad, and he has a really good perspective on what's going on in the world currently. And I think he's got some good advice for you if you listen to him. From my point of view, life has always been about challenges and always been about struggle. And that's the one thing we never really tell you when you're growing up. When you're little, things can seem quite positive a lot of the time, and there's things to look forward to. And the older you get, all of a sudden you realise that actually life does come with challenges. But it's often how you deal with them that makes you the person that you are and determines what happens to you really in those next stages of your life. I firmly believe that all mistakes are a good thing, providing you learn from them. There's no such thing as a bad mistake because that's how we learn. This year, I think we've all had to learn quite a lot, haven't we? And at a young age, you guys have been forced into a situation that none of us ever thought would happen. You've been kept away from friends and family, you've been kept away from school, you've had to do home learning. And that's not easy. And I've said this many times in assemblies, I have been extremely proud of all the young people in Thirsk School and Sixth Form College because you made my life easier. During that first lockdown, I didn't have to worry like some other head teachers about some of the things that they were talking about that were going on. You guys got on with the job and you didn't cause me any stress whatsoever. But you will have learned a lot about yourselves and about your friendships as well. You might have learned about what things are important to you. You might have learned some new skills. You might have done something, taken up a new hobby that you would never have done previously. Somebody told me that her and her family got massively into old-fashioned board games that they would never have played prior to this because obviously for you guys it's all about computer games and the technical age. And she said, we love it. Every so often we have this family games night where it's board games and everybody has a really good laugh and it's great fun. You might have tried your hand at baking or at gardening or at running or at just something new. Because when we were faced with that first lockdown, clearly it was a moment in time of, right, okay, what can we do? Because we've got to look after our mental well-being as well as our physical well-being. So I hope that you will all grow from this experience, and I think you will. And something that Mr. Sheriff says in his speech, and I'm going to echo, I think as a generation, you're maybe going to put right some of the mistakes my generations and others before have made. And I hope that having gone through this, you might make better decisions as leaders, as professionals, as that future of the country than maybe we've made. So, as said, keeping it brief, I want to say a huge well done to you all again for the awards that you're receiving today. I'm sorry you can't be in the hall and we can't be doing all the rapturous applause, etc. But please know that I am clapping to all of you. Very proud of you and a big well done. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Richard Sheriff and I'm the President of the Association of School Leaders, which is an organisation that looks after all the, well, an awful lot, 20,000 head teachers in the country. I'm also a geography teacher and a head teacher as well. But that's not really important. What's important today is you and your successes and your achievements. And I just want to mention, it's very difficult to avoid mentioning this current crisis that we're in and that you're living through at such an important time in your lives. If I can start though by talking about something slightly different. Sadly, I'm one of those middle-aged blokes at the weekend who puts on strange lycra clothing and runs around the lanes, or rather cycles around the lanes on my bike. I love doing it. It's what I enjoy. It's not what everybody might enjoy, and it's certainly not good to look at. But I do like watching the Tour de France as it makes its way through this massive voyage, through the streets and towns of France during the summer. But this year it was delayed because of COVID, and the race didn't take place until just a week or so ago. And this had lots of different effects, and it wasn't quite the race, but actually it was said that this is probably one of the best races for the past 30 years. And one of the things that made it really special were the shadows. Yeah, the shadows. Because it was taking place later in the year, almost in autumn, the sun was lower in the sky and it created these fantastic shadows. So as you saw the bikes going along the lanes, you saw these long shadows of the bikes and riders appear along beside them. And it lent this fantastic photo opportunity that's been recognised by many as being just made this tour very, very special. These long shadows. It's often said that this virus will cast a long shadow for years to come. But I have a more positive view about this. I think we can cast positive shadows and see some positives coming out of this. Because you, sometimes referred to as the coronials, the ones affected most by the coronavirus, are developing new ways of working. You're more flexible. You've had to adapt to working at home as well as in school. You've had to cope with the challenge of mentally cope with the difficulties of hearing what you're hearing around you now and the spread of the virus and how that's impacted on you, your family, friends, and the whole world. And you will get through this. You will get through it. And you will be strengthened by that experience. And in doing that, I think many of you have realised the value of community, of being with other people, of actually being supportive of each other, how we stood outside and clapped for the NHS, and we valued our services that support us, and how we care for more than just creating wealth and money for ourselves. And we started to think more about other people and what we can contribute and how we can play our part in the community. The world is going to be different that you move into, but that's no bad thing. The world that your parents and grandparents created is perhaps, as you know, not that brilliant. We've made mistakes. The global climate crisis is one of them. And I think coming out of this, you're going to see many more people looking at doing something positive to try and find a way out of that. And your generation, the coronials, are going to lead that and support that and give us a better world. Hopefully, you'll deal with global warming. You'll solve the crisis in our biodiversity, in our rainforests, in our own communities in terms of the natural world. The second thing I think you'll do is you'll do something about the great inadequacy that faces us regarding equalities. And we know through the Black Lives Matter movement that there are many people in this world who are treated differently just because of the colour of their skin, where they come from, or other aspects to do with some things that they cannot control. I think other thing coming out of the coronavirus is people have had time to think about these things more deeply. And again, I think your generation really get this. They don't want to have people classified according to what they are. They want to know what they can contribute. So there are many things that will change, not least of which will be the jobs market. And you'll be worried that maybe the jobs that your parents do or your grandparents did won't be available to you. And that may well be the case. But you know, there's going to be new jobs, new opportunities. And I think they're going to lead into places that you'll probably find yourself excelling. Because you are, as they're called, the digital natives. You're used to working in this electronic digital world. You're used to the need for flexibility from working at home, but also working at the office or the school. And I think you understand more than any other generation what it means to be truly connected through the World Wide Web. We will see many opportunities in science, in the arts, all kinds of different areas will open up once this pandemic is safely out of the way. The Coronials, you, I believe, will shake up this world. I think you've got the prospect of making it a much, much better place to be for future generations. Let's go back to those shadows. It is possible to see COVID as purely a negative, and indeed it is as a disease. There's no positive to be had from people getting ill and suffering dreadful disease like COVID-19. But you know what? We can make sure the shadow that it casts into the future is a really bright shadow, if that's possible. Because we can take the lessons we've learned, we can take the experiences we have, and we can emerge stronger. And you, as young people, are in a brilliant position to be able to take what you've learned and apply it to the future and make the very best of the opportunities that will come along. You will need to be strong, you will need to be resilient, you'll need to be creative, and you'll need to work with others more than ever before, whether in the virtual world or face to face. But I've no doubt that this fantastic generation that I wish I could see before me now will make the very best of the opportunities that are coming your way. Best wishes for the future, and I'm sure you will cast not just a shadow, but you will zoom brightness into the world as you venture forth. Thank you for listening, and congratulations to all of you.